caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the...
What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you once again with another fun-filled, fact-filled video that you probably won't care about, but we're going to do it anyways, trying to change the world one post at a time. Now, if you follow me, which you should, you might remember a name of Mitch Laing and the Bogman Cinematic Universe. We have gone over a couple of his films now, The Bogman and then Sea of Madness. And I'm happy to say that we're going to continue reviewing the Bogman Cinematic Universe because we've got another film that is a part of that. Mitch Laing has recently released the Rake Investigation, which is a continuation of the Bogman Cinematic Universe. It is the third installment of this franchise. So today, we're going to dive into it.
Oh my boy, this is going to be so very exciting. We are on the hunt for the elusive and mysterious creature known as the Rake. The Rake? Yes. What the hell is that? Oh, I'm so very glad you asked that question. It's typically associated with a bold, pale-skinned creature that lives in the woods, hunched over like this, with bright, glowing eyes for orbs that stare right into the camera. And authors use it as a kind of a shorthand for any sort of creature that appears like this.
This thing is pissed, on fire, and it's heading straight for you!
So as we get into the Rake Investigation, there's a really cool opening title sequence that has some really cool music mixed in with some graphic effects to kind of get you caught back up on a little bit of the Bogman Cinematic Universe, where it's been, and kind of lead you into where it's going with the Rake Investigation itself. And then you open up into the opening sequence of the film, the opening scene, which is good old-fashioned Mayor Rafferty, played by Marcus Allen, not the football player. If you get that reference, good for you. But you get this opening sequence with Mayor Rafferty and a couple of construction workers, and they're kind of talking a little bit about, this TV show that is from the original Bogman movie, and making some Bogman, references in regards to that show, which is actually going to be a part of a pivotal point in this film. But if anybody has watched any of Mitch Laing's Bogman universe, the Bogman, Sea of Madness, now the Rake Investigation, there is kind of this running plot line of Dr. Benjamin Martin. Dr. Martin, played by Benjamin Gross. But there's this running plot of this TV show that started out with the Bogman trying to capture the Bogman, and they did. And then in Sea of Madness, they wanted to continue that TV show, trying to capture sirens and mermaids. And now again, we find ourselves with this kind of continuation looking for a rake. If you're not familiar with a rake, that is kind of it's a cryptid that is, depending on how it's referenced, it can be a reference to a specific the rake, or in some cases it is just a like a nonchalant kind of like overall encompassing reference to a possible cryptid that is on the loose. And that is kind of part of what they're trying to figure out in this film is the Rake Investigation. What are they investigating? Is it in fact the rake, or is it the rake as a general reference into some other cryptid? But there is this running plot line with this TV show that also correlates that. And I like the fact that in the opening sequence, you have the mayor kind of talking with these construction workers, kind of rehashing that a little bit, just to kind of get you a little bit caught up. Or if you haven't seen the other films, you're kind of not left wondering what is it that they are exactly doing in this film. So it's a nice little catch up for people that haven't seen the other two films yet. Now, the thing that I do enjoy about the Bogman Cinematic Universe, the BCU, and what Mitch Laing does with that is that each film's a little slightly different than the previous one. In the Bogman, it was pretty cut and dry. Family moves into town. There's a Bogman on the property, and the town is made famous by these Bogman sightings, and that's kind of where the origin of the television show kind of happened. Its origins are in this town with the Bogman. In Sea of Madness, we see them try to find new producers, some new backing to expand that television show beyond the town that it was originated from and beyond the Bogman itself. They captured the Bogman. Now let's see what else we can get. And in Sea of Madness, not to ruin too much of that plot, some things obviously go awry with these sirens and mermaid type creatures, and the show kind of dissolves once again. Basically, in the Rake investigation, what you have is a a documentary style take on what happened from the previous film, as far as some of these characters that were previously working together kind of had a falling out. There's another new producer, and the documentary kind of focuses on um, what happened with that and how they're trying to move forward. And then obviously another part of that is obviously trying to capture the Rake. So it's almost a Tropic Thunder type scenario. The dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. You're basically watching a film that's a documentary about another show from the cinematic universe. So a show within a movie within a movie. But I did like that it was definitely a different take than what he had previously done. So even though you have this overall encompassing television show storyline throughout these three films, the way it's presented in each film is a little bit different than the previous one. So I thought that was pretty cool how they did that. Now, as far as the production quality goes, that's another thing I'll say about Mitch's films. That has progressively been getting a little bit better with each and every film. We did have some audio issues in the Bogman, maybe some ADR problems. Some things are a little bit obvious. Less issues in Sea of Madness. They kind of up the game as far as the acting, as far as the special effects go. And in this one, they kind of do the same thing. It's again, you're kind of upping the game a little bit. The special effects, there's a good combination of practical and CGI special effects in this film. And then there's also the good old fashioned Mitch Laing like nod to like old time special effects, like old time TV shows. So to give you an example, the Rake itself is actually pretty cool looking throughout most of the film. I wish they would have focused in on a little bit more of the Rake as far as seeing it, because you kind of get quick flashes of it. It's basically a tall white creature, glowing red eyes. And there's a couple of cool CGI effects that they use to kind of capture that. But at the same time, there is some instances where, like when they capture the Rake, like you get a good shot of just a guy with a mask and some shorts on, just painted white. But that's kind of done with intent. That's kind of Mitch poking fun at himself, and also kind of poking fun and making a nod to like 50s and 60s creature features where the same thing kind of happened. Every once in a while, you get a good look at a creature and you're like, oh man, that looks real and that looks awesome. And then every once in a while, you get a shot and you're like, I can see the zipper in the back of the suit, and kind of takes you away from that. So that stuff is kind of done with intent from Mitch. Which I think is kind of funny. He doesn't take his films too terribly seriously, but still trying to bring a quality product and not detract from the overall storyline. So kind of a clever filmmaker in that regard. As far as the rest of the production quality, it's pretty standard and pretty top notch. I really don't have any issues with the videography and cinematography. It's edited together pretty well. Most of the acting, especially by Mayor Rafferty, which is Marcus Allen, and then Benjamin Gross is Dr. Martin, both of their characters and both of their acting is pretty good. Some of the subplot characters, or maybe like the construction worker, they probably could have been polished a little bit more in their line delivery, but nothing that's really, unexpected or too hateful or too detracting from the overall story. Lighting was pretty good. They did do a clever job with some of the night shots in the woods trying to capture the Rake. I did like some of that sequence. So overall, fundamentally, pretty solid film. If I had any real major negative connotations about this film, it would probably just be realistically just the capturing of the Rake itself, because you don't really see that happen. Um, you do get a pretty cool setup at nighttime with a bunch of guys and guns, and Benjamin, or I keep calling him Benjamin, Dr. Martin, brings in these people to try and capture the Rake, and the Rake obviously goes on a rampage. Lots of shooting, lots of blood, lots of gore, lots of things happening. And then it just kind of, at a certain point, it just kind of jumps to the fact that the Rake has been captured. And they show it kind of like, just captured in a net. I wish they would have tried to explore that a little bit more. I'm willing to give it a little bit of grace because I do know that they kind of do operate on a limited budget. Um, so I don't want to give them too much of a hard time about that. But it would have been kind of cool to see, they do go through the whole sequence of like setting up a plan and here's how this is going to go down and this is what we're going to try and do. And then obviously things kind of go awry with the rake in the middle of the night. But it would have been kind of cool to see how they would have, how they did actually capture the rake towards the end of this film. My only other thing, the storyline in and of itself, I liked it, but it was kind of hard to watch sometimes because there was a lot of focus on this documentary of like these filmmakers there was a lot of talking about the previous showrunners, some of the cameramen that they had to work with, some of the, the former producer and how things kind of went awry. And it's almost like two subplots that they did work together, but not as cohesive as I would have liked to have seen. I will say, though, that as I'm watching the film, you had this pretty cool opening sequence, and I don't want to give too much away in that opening plot line. But if you pay attention to that plot line at the very beginning of the film, as you're watching the film, you're kind of like, how does any of this kind of go together realistically, besides this TV show? But the last scene of the film actually ties it together pretty well in a pretty clever way. And I was like, okay, because even in my notes, I was like, how does this make sense? And then I get to the last scene and I'm like, all right, wrapped it all together in a nice little package. I get it. And obviously, it leaves the door open for a continuation into another potential Bogman Cinematic Universe film. So, I mean, the documentary style thing, I didn't like it as much in that regard as far as the subplot goes as I did with like Sea of Madness and the original Bogman. But I did appreciate the fact that it was done differently than the other two films. So each film, like I said before, has been done a little bit differently than the previous one. And I hope he continues with that trend to try and, just different styles, different plot lines, but still trying to keep that overall encompassing BCU TV show storyline. So he's kind of dancing a fine line because I know Mitch really wants to try and make things a little bit unique, and obviously you don't want to do the same movie over and over again because you could just do the Bogman again and again and again with a different creature, but he's actually trying to make each film a little bit different in the way it's shot, the way it's presented, the way it's executed. So he's kind of tap dancing a little bit and wearing a lot of hats doing it all. He's acting, he's directing, he's writing, he's producing. So he's doing a lot of different things, and I appreciate the fact that he's trying to do a lot of different things with each individual film as far as the way, like I said, it's put together, presented, executed. So the BCU, it sounds ridiculous, and it kind of is, but in a good way. It's ridiculous with intent. I think it's awesome that this guy has, kind of taken his idea and was like, you know what, I'm just going to make my own whole franchise universe type thing. And I know I've talked about this in the last couple films, but like there's so many cryptids out there that I mean, you could do just about anything. You could do vampires, you could do werewolves, you could do the Loch Ness monster, chupacabras, Jersey Devil, whatever. There's so many cryptids out there that you could almost endlessly go on with this idea. I think his only issue would be trying to keep that presentation of the film fresh in each and every execution. So I know he's got more stuff on the pipeline. I'm not going to give anything away because I'm probably going to be doing reviews on all these films, and I really look forward to them. So, guys, if you can, the Rake Investigation is out now. It is available on streaming platforms. You can check it out. I think it's a really good time. I would love it if you guys went back and watched The Bogman, Sea of Madness, and the Rake Investigation. They're all fun. They're all good popcorn movies. Sit back, relax, drink a beer, eat some popcorn, and just have a good time with them. So check out Mitch Laing's productions. Again, Bogman, Sea of Madness, The Rake Investigation, and there's more coming down the pipeline from them. So check it out. Like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram. I'll see everybody in the next video.